Good afternoon and happy Tuesday, everybody. Here we are live again, as we do every Tuesday in For the Love of Dragons. My name is Araya Anra, also known as the Dragon Lady, or Tana, which is my water dragon self name, and bringing that in because I am inspired and feeling the water dragons so much around me today, and thought, well, let's just dive into the water dragons, literally diving in. What else can we talk about with them? And so feeling the water element, feeling even called to pull my labradorite dragon. I've actually been wearing since yesterday when it came on during a session with a client. The guides actually stopped me mid-reading and said, go put that labradorite pendant on. And I thought, interesting, we need to hold this for the energy of the sphere. And so I've actually been called to wear it again today, and again with aqua colors. So there's something going on with the emotional body, and I thought, this is a perfect time. I'm feeling right now, I happen to be in a week off. I've only scheduled 1 or 2 clients because this is my fall break for my kids, and we take an integration week halfway through the Eye of the Dragon program, or the Dragon Heart program, and we're in the second half of that. So this is our off week there as well, and it gives everybody an integration time. It gives us a oh my goodness, let's just drop down. And so interesting, I see Susan is here and says global grief, absolutely. And what's really interesting about that, I noted as I was moving my table, I have a globe that I work with consistently to see different points and where things line up. That's always here on my work table. And as I moved my work table out of the way to set up the camera, my globe actually fell on the ground, and I thought, what is that indicating? Very interesting. And here the first comment of the day is global grief. Absolutely, there's a lot moving. And it feels like this is, part of this big reset button we've been talking about, but we're in the phase of really pulling our emotional bodies through to another level. And so that requires us to work deeper with them, to go deeper into the pain of them, the grief of them. And many of you are empaths, and many of you are feeling that global grief that is part of the human collective, that is part of what's happening now, because so many people are losing family, losing friends, losing businesses, losing their jobs. There is an overriding sense of loss right now. And it doesn't mean we have to stay stuck in that, but if we allow it to move, then we can allow something new to be birthed and see the joy or the silver lining behind. And I find it interesting that that's actually the term coming in, because my very first business with this energy work way back in 2004 was actually silver lining wisdom that came through, and that's still what carries the dragon within information. So that is the silver lining. There's always a lining within that rain cloud, and there's always something that brings us to a higher plane, and that silver lining is actually a higher octave of that water dragon lineage. So moving up the water, the crystal, the silver, is that heart line. And so wanting to bring in, how do we work with that? What do we do with that? And there's ways in the book that are talked about of how to work directly with the water dragons, but I wanted to bring in some ideas for you to take it a step further, to really move into the experience through your body with it. So 2 different ways that we can actually immerse ourselves in water and bring in the water dragons at the same time involve either a bathtub or a swimming pool. I wouldn't go jacuzzi unless you just have it on a low temperature like a bathtub, just because going under and really getting immersed in the water might get too hot. But if that's your forte or what you love, then try it, go for it. So essentially, if you follow in the book How to Call in the Water Dragons, and you get their mantra down and you repeat it, or you have a way to play in the background somewhere around you. Not many people have underwater speakers in their swimming pools, but you can play it right next to it or right next to the bath, and hear that mantra pull you into that frequency, or even do that before you dip into the water to get yourself immersed in that flow. Because what's that going to do? The water dragons work with our emotional body. Predominantly, that is their gift to us, to go and move through and clear all of that pain, that grief, that loss that's stuck in our emotional body. And you have to remember that the emotional body is the very precious and particular aspect of being human. There are emotions in other beings. There are, even as if you've incarnated as a star being or another form of galactic being in different places, There are levels of emotions that can be felt, but truly the human experience is the only one that has a spectrum, and part of it is because we're in duality, because we're in these polar opposites where we can have elation or we can have being so down in the dumps that it's the exact opposite, right? So having that broad spectrum and everything in between is what is really the gift of being human. But in that gift, we've taken on and held within us instead of feeling, because we've been shut down on how to actually just feel and emote and express all of those emotions, mainly because the negative, the darker, the denser ones, whatever you want to term it, mainly it's just a lower frequency, so it's denser, are not accepted socially as being okay to emote. They're not okay to express without negative retribution. Mainly that's because we have in the past expressed them, be it anger, rage, depression, let's think of some of the more dense ones, jealousy, shame, regret. When we go into those, they don't feel good. We don't like to feel them, so we stuff them down and we try and bury them over something else. But externally, if we voice those, we tend to project them instead of just feeling them and letting them go up to the universe, into the atmosphere, to be absorbed and transmuted into a different energy. That's what Gaia does for us. But instead of feeling those, we stuff them, because society doesn't say it's okay to feel rage. Well, it is okay to feel rage as long as you're not raging at someone. And so allowing yourself, by yourself, in a forest, in your bedroom, slamming pillows, breaking dishes, whatever it is, let yourself go into those and learn again how to emote, learn again how to let those feelings come out without projecting at someone. So when you can tell that someone is cringing because of the energy releasing, then you know, like, you're actually directing it at them, and that's not good for your karmic balance. That definitely causes harm. And so you need to learn how to release it out without a direct intention at someone. But in that space, what this comes to mean is that we have a lot of stuff stored in our emotional body that we didn't want to feel at the time, that wasn't appropriate to feel at the time, that is too painful to feel. So we shove them down, and so especially around the heart region, and this is why the water dragon is so directly connected to the heart space, and where you feel the biggest heart healing and clearing, is because that's where we've stored the most. We have the most to clear out there, so we feel refreshed and renewed with any level of work we do in the heart space. But to take it further, take it deeper, this is the time we are trying to clear our bodies in order to go into the highest new frequency possible as we go through the doorway into the fifth dimensional reality, into that new earth. And as we merge towards that, the more we can leave out, leave behind, let go from our bodies, the greater our gain will be on the other end. So it's an opportunity to really, really transform or springboard yourself towards the highest you can be by letting go. So I would encourage you, especially if you've worked with water dragons before, but maybe not in this way, to try it. There is a lot to be released right now, and if you are an empath and have that as service, then doing it and holding the collective as your focus in that intention, and in calling in and working with the water dragon or dragons. You can call multiple dragons in to work through the larger collective body in service, by actually moving through your own heart space and letting as much of the collective pain and loss and grieving and raging, and there's a lot of rage and anger coming up too. My whole body's tingling on that allowing, and this is why it's been stuffed, right? Society has stuffed it down, just like we do in our personal bodies. Always look at the microcosm, the macrocosm. What's going on in your body is going on globally, or in your community, or in the globe as a whole, in this galaxy as a whole. There's always those levels of mirroring. So when you can allow yourself to do that, pull yourself in, call the dragons, the water dragons in the way that is described in the book, and then go into the swimming pool or the bathtub. Depends on what you have available and your comfort level, the temperature of water. Maybe you're in winter and you can get to a rec pool or a community pool that's indoors. It doesn't have to be a crazy verbal experience that would set you apart, like if there were other people enjoying the pool. And right now there's actually not a lot of pools open, or those that are, you maybe have to reserve a time to swim laps or do whatever. So figure out what works in your community. But when you drop into the water, allow yourself to hold your breath as long as you can and drop down underwater and call in, because what you'll start feeling is not just the water dragons moving through your emotional body, but you'll feel them moving through the body of water around you. And it will typically bring in more than one, and so that you'll have a dual expansion where there's dragons working in the water field and a dragon working through your own emotional body field. And then you'll feel yourself expanding out to match the water, and the reverse happening where you're going to get this in and out waving. And you might have a very different experience, but if you try to just go in and see what happens, that will also open something that might be very specific to you. And those of you that are feeling really called to this, your guides might have said, wow, you know, she needs to get on this call, or he needs to get on this call, and watch this live for this reason, because you have some emotional healing to address. And when you are under there, encouraging you, because our physical body is the most dense. We have these different bodies, they're all of different densities, and as we move through, all of them need to go forward into the merge with our actual light body, into our fifth dimensional higher self aspect that's coming into the fifth dimensional expansion as this new human form that we're going to be moving into. So with that, the physical body will also receive some release, because everything that's in the emotional body that's stuck is actually creating something in the physical body. Some kind of dis-ease somewhere cellularly, whether it's calluses, cysts, tumors, I'm not sure what the terminology is, but stasis, or a stiffening of cells, rigidity in different places of the body. And as those come in, you already have awareness of what's going on in your body, but you might not be aware that everything in the physical body is actually being created by an energetic that is out of alignment in the mental, emotional, or etheric bodies, the energy body. So as you work with the emotional body, it will create healing and release in the physical body. And so this is the benefit of actually doing this in the water, where it can release more easily, and you'll feel it penetrate through the physical body in a way that doesn't happen in just the meditation. It will have a similar effect, but it will move faster and more efficiently by actually immersing yourself in that water element in the same way. Thankfully, we don't need to do that with the fire element or the fire dragons, but it does help to actually get yourself in like a sauna or a heated space where you are to your most intense burning, to actually move that through the physical body. And that's, I think, connecting directly to the elements is a way to really intensify the process and move it through the bodies on multiple levels faster. So just a couple fun ideas for today. And while we're with the emotional body, obviously I brought all of the water dragons around me today, but I wanted to share, because I like to share something that's applicable from the layer every week. And with the water element, this one is quite fun. I had to go outside of my yard and get this, because rain is one of our water elements. And this guy, if you can imagine, is a rain spout to go on the end of your drain of your rain spout and take the water out in a very beautiful way through your dragon, your water dragon mouth. I just love him, and I'm probably going to get a couple more to go around the rest of my drain spouts as we move into fall and potentially getting rain this week. And the other piece that I wanted to really give you a close-up on is this labradorite piece. It's not directly related to the water dragons themselves, but it does hold the aqua. And I realized yesterday, I'm just going to hold it up for you. This one is spectacular. This is my personal one. It's got all these wonderful colors in it and this beautiful silver dragon. These are custom pieces, and so they're one of a kinds. And I do have on the site right now 3 different labradorites, so one might be calling you. Feel free to go and look at those. But the interesting thing that I realized about labradorite yesterday is, as I was working in a session with a client, the sphere, because I always work in an energetic sphere, the sphere was actually like labradorite, where it had that beautiful, really beigey brown softness, which was the grounding element, which was showing me it was this end of a spectrum. And then it had the aqua, which is much like the color on my shirt that was over on this end of the spectrum. And because it was in a sphere, it was showing this spherical movement of how the two ends of a spectrum, much like a rainbow, come together and then they merge in a different way, which is actually the shift that we're moving into. And that's a much bigger discussion that is usually what I do in my programs or classes. But this being the labradorite right now is something that I'm feeling very strongly is holding that space for a beautiful groundedness, but an expansion up into these beautiful aqua energies that are connected to that emotional water body, that are connected to that realm of higher frequency band, up with the high heart, up with our higher knowing and reception sensors. And so moving us into this beautiful grounded space that's holding within that and all the way out to the true expansion. So that was one of the beautiful things I realized about working with labradorite yesterday. Just the explanation or the expression of working in this sphere itself like that is part of the energies we're in now and the benefits we get from it. So hoping you guys have a fabulous week. I will see you next Tuesday. If you have specific questions or things you want to discuss, please let me know. We do have a lot of great discussions coming up, and I will mention I only have 2 spots left in the book club this round. It starts October 15th, which is just a week from this Thursday. And always exciting, always full of huge transformation and shift, because just like this, when I come on in a day, there's energies moving. There's specific dragons that are coming forward. And when we come in a group sphere, it's exponential energy. So even the discussions, there's exponential work that's moving through your field because the discussion's in a way to bring that into your perspective body, into your mental body, to really, really broaden your horizons. And it's more than just the mind understanding. It does more to your energy bodies. But then we actually do a guided meditation each week. So if you've gotten any of the guided meditations from the Dragon Within site, which there are multiples, and the elementals, the black, white, and the crystal are all very present on there and very powerful. I've had incredible feedback from them, and they are meant for this time that we're in. They are meant to really trigger and move very quickly with what's going on right now. But if you've worked with those, you know, one, that every time you do that, every time you listen to it, you get something different because you're at a different place. And how powerful they are, that's what we do every week, where there is dragons that show up, sometimes multiples, to work with that group sphere. And so that dynamically is a very present, in the moment energy for that day of what's going on in the group as a whole. And it tends to bring very powerhouse stuff. And again, those are downloadable at the end of book club. You get to keep those along with all the discussion and listen to it over and over again, which, you know, 6 months from now might be very relevant to do again. So it's definitely one of the most fun things I get to do. I love the meditation aspects of both the book club and my programs. The Eye of the Dragon program is no different. We always have a guided meditation within that time that is relevant to the dragon we're being initiated into that week. And I do have nearly half the spots filled for next January 2021 Eye of the Dragon program already. So if you've been thinking of that, please get an application in, because it seems like it's far away, but 3 months is going to fly, 3.5 months is going to fly by. As you guys have known, like this whole year, whew, gone. It's October, it's mid-October almost. And so time is moving very differently this year than it has in the past, much more rapidly. And so if you've been feeling at all a call to get information about or do an application, I do find that even doing an application really triggers people into a push forward or a boost forward in their own journey. So even just doing that, if you've been feeling the pull, follow through on it and let me know. Send an email, araya@invokehealing.com or araya@dragonwithin.com. That will get directly to me, and then I can send you the information that you need. Or that's a great way to send me questions, topics, things you want to know about, because this is what I do every week. I want to come to you guys and give you the tools you need, because the dragons are here waiting for you. They want to be working with you, and maybe you just don't know how to dive in. So let's get you some insight on that. All right, have a fabulous week, everybody. Good to see you. I appreciate and love my dragon family for always being here. And if you aren't, for some reason, part of For the Love of Dragons yet, please join us for the Love, L-O-V-E in capitals, of Dragons in the Facebook group. So we'd love to have you join us. Thanks everybody. Bye.